foreigner is a more difficult situation than Iraq. And so the United States or NATO cannot possibly stay in Afghanistan, not according to my reading of Afghan history. But what is your view? When do you want them to go back home?
First of all, there is two different issues when you're talking about Iraq and Afghanistan. Iraq is absolutely, it was different, and the situation in Afghanistan is different. When the United States came to Afghanistan, it was the full agreement by the whole international community and mandated by the Security Council. They came to Afghanistan. The people of Afghanistan welcomed, and they are happy to seeing today's American soldiers in Afghanistan. They welcome the United States involvement to get rid of Taliban. If you remember, the first days when the B-52s bombed Taliban in Afghanistan, it was the people of Afghanistan on the ground who removed Taliban, who started fighting against Taliban and against Al-Qaeda, who removed them from different villages, districts, cities, provinces from Afghanistan, but the United States help from the sky. It means the people of Afghanistan supported the United States for removing Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and they are very supportive of the presence of the United States in Afghanistan, and appreciative of their help and assistance. And of course, the people of Afghanistan, neither the United States or NATO wants to stay in Afghanistan forever. And they came with a good faith. They have a good intention to help the Afghan people to build a democratic, independence, and peaceful Afghanistan as a healthy member of the international community, to have a good friend in that part of the world. And so still they are doing a great job. Still the Afghan people, they need the assistance, the presence of the United States in Afghanistan. On the same time, we are asking the United States to help, to do more help. They are helping to do more in order to strengthen the national army, the police, the national security, the government capacity, the economic infrastructure in Afghanistan, in order Afghanistan should stay on its own foot, and then the United States can leave, or NATO can leave in Afghanistan. And the people of Afghanistan very supportive of the presence of the United States and NATO forces in Afghanistan.
Provost Scorza, I leave it to you to start closing this from your end.
Thank you, Ambassador, and thank you too, Ambassador Ayoob. I would like to try to squeeze one last provocative question in, if I may.
Okay, no extra charge.
No extra charge. I think it's important that we remember that terrorism is not an abstraction. It is a set of tactics and techniques used in actual conflicts. Those conflicts tend to be between state actors and non-state actors. They tend to be asymmetrical conflicts in which the state has vast resources, armies, jet fighters and tanks, and the non-state actor has relatively little by way of assets. The question I'm going to ask has to do with the role of the United Nations in mediating between conflicts, mediating conflicts between state actors and non-state actors. And if I could just have a quick comment from each of you. What can the UN do? What does the UN do?
Very little. And the answer is that the United Nations is an intergovernmental or an interstate organization. And so all the ground rules of the UN are based on the relationship between states. And these states can be held responsible for their actions of omission and commission. And there is a whole procedure for holding states responsible. And that is the job of the Security Council. The problem is that when you are dealing with a non-state actor, firstly, you don't know who the actor is. You don't know where he is located. You don't know what he looks like. You don't know what is his address. It's a person of no fixed abode. And so you cannot hold the person responsible because you do not know where he is and who he is. And so you can, of course, go and start cluster bombing a whole area in the hope that you will kill everybody, including the non-state actor. But the collateral damage is likely to be far greater when hitting a non-state actor than when hitting a state actor. That's hitting a state actor is what is called war. Hitting a non-state actor is there's no definition. And the definition which has been brought in is something called war on terror, which nobody understands. Nobody understands the meaning of war on terror, because who is the terror and where is the terror and how do you hit the terror and how do you pinpoint? And this is the whole problem of the missile attacks in Pakistan, for example, because there is a presumption that the person who the non-state actor is at point A. But we find that the collateral damage inevitably as a result of these missile attacks is far greater than the actual damage which is done. The same has been true in Afghanistan. If you start adding up the total number of people killed, whether it is Taliban as opposed to the total number of collateral damage civilians killed, you'll find that the order of magnitude is disturbing. And the same thing has happened in Iraq. And so I'm afraid dealing with a non-state actor, unfortunately, is an entirely new ball game for the United Nations. We don't know how to deal with it because this is a new phenomenon that the United Nations has come across. And if you have any ideas, please tell us, because we are totally open to seeking the assistance of think tanks and universities and younger students in universities in trying to give us ideas of how to deal with non-state actors' threat to peace and security. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Scarza, for the questions. Of course, it's not easy for the United Nations to deal with this. It's an intergovernmental organizations. But I would like to add something else here. That when United Nations dealing with these problems between the state actors, non-state actors, in the case of Afghanistan, for us, most important thing that we should not sometimes equate terrorism with act of the state, which was one goal, and the non-state actor terrorist, which has another goal. The terrorists in Afghanistan, for example, their goals to destroy roads, to kill the people, to burn schools, to spray acid on the face of the girls, and to deprive the people from their elemental rights, and to act against the rule of law and to weaken the government system. It is the main goal of the terrorists. But the governmental actors, they are over there to, in opposite, to build school, to build road, to create a condition for the normal life for the people. And when we're talking about collateral damage in the case of Afghanistan, the most civilian casualties in Afghanistan, it is the reasons behind the Taliban and Al Qaeda, because they come to the villages, they come to the civilian populated areas, they come to the mosque. They took positions, they fired against international communities, soldiers, or against Afghan forces, and they continue that. And then the soldiers and the forces, they have to act against them when they come to bomb them. Unfortunately, there will be some civilian casualties. But whose fault? Mostly it is Taliban's and Al Qaeda's, those elements, because they are trying to destabilize the situation. They are trying to take it to use population as a human shield. Just it is their goal. When the forces come to bomb, the civilian population will be killed, and then the anti-governmental feeling will arise in the populated areas. That we have to keep in mind that Al Qaeda.
What should the UN do?
UN should what UN can do, as I told, it is very difficult for UN to do something exactly in this area, but UN has to study and has to announce who is in fact behind this act which brings a lot of